Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final winter edition of First Fridays with Urban Farms. First Fridays is our monthly live broadcast that highlights the work of the Urban Farms Initiative at Services for the Underserved. Because we're live, please bear with us if any technical issues arise, but also feel free to interact with us throughout the broadcast. If you're signed into YouTube, use the live chat feature to give shout-outs, send feedback, and ask questions. Spring is only a few weeks away, and I know I'm very excited to feel the weather warming up. But now that we're beginning to get some mild temperatures, a question that comes up a lot for my team is, can we start planting in our garden now? And my answer for you would be, not yet. While those sunny March afternoons might feel like beautiful conditions for planting in your garden, it's important to remember we are still in winter. So nighttime temperatures, late winter cold snaps, frost, these are all still risks that can wipe out young garden plantings. The first week of April is usually the last frost date for New York City. So being a little patient and waiting just a few more weeks will really increase your chances for a successful gardening season. Keep in mind, though, that even in April, temperatures are going to be cool, and outdoor plantings should be focused initially on some of the hardier varieties like lettuce, kale, broccoli. Radish is actually one of my favorite seeds for early spring because it grows so quickly, so you can often start harvesting just a month after planting. For all of the popular warmer weather crops like tomatoes, peppers, cucumber, eggplant, those you really want to be waiting until around mid-May for the best results. Planting those crops too early can cause the plant to stay stunted in its growth for the entire year. But holding off until right around Mother's Day is going to make those summer vegetables happy and keep them growing for the full season. So while I recommend patience with new plantings for your garden, that doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of these warmer days over the coming weeks in March. Now is the perfect time for a garden cleanup, for adding flowers and herb bulbs as soon as the soil's thawed enough for digging. And you can also absolutely get a head start on your vegetable garden by starting seeds indoors. So for some quick tips on beginning your vegetables from seed, here's Urban Farms Manager Dan Danza with our first segment, In the Garden.
Hi everyone, it's Dan, Urban Farms Manager, again with another short video tutorial, this time on seeding. Very important early season activity, obviously. All the urban farmers have now received their seed packets, and the specific information on the seeds will be on the back of your packets, but just on a basic level, this is just a tip on some things you want to make sure you're doing when you're seeding. Generally speaking, this isn't always true, but for the most part, larger seeds are going to go down deeper, smaller seeds are going to be shallower. For the most part, again, most of your seeds are going to be seeded at a depth between 1/8 of an inch to 1 inch. For a larger seed, like a bean, this is a bush bean, which is a very common crop for us. Corn is another example, squash is another example. You want to be going toward that 1 inch depth. You can think of that at about your first knuckle. So it's very simple. You can either make a hole down to your first knuckle and then drop the seed in there and cover it, or you can just kind of put the seed on the surface and push it down until you reach that first knuckle, cover it up, pat the soil down and water. For a smaller seed, and this is going to be, for instance, like your tomatoes and peppers, you want to go toward the shallower end. That's typically around 1/4 of an inch, and for really small seeds like lettuce and kale, even 1/4 of an inch or closer to 1/8 of an inch is sufficient. Lettuce in particular is something that likes to be shallow. So for those, I think it's a little easier to make the depression with your finger rather than pushing the seed down. And you can kind of think of it as like a fingernail's like depth, maybe even a little bit less. So do something along those lines. And this is dill, which is another one that is a shallower seed. And then you can just sprinkle a couple in. cover it up, pat it down in water. You want to use maybe, now for a larger seed, you just have to use just one seed. For the smaller seeds, you might want to do 2 or 3. And then when they start to germinate, you want to thin them, which means you want to just leave one healthy seedling per seeding hole. And that will be the topic of our next video tutorial. So, as always, stay safe, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Dan. Seeds started in containers can be protected indoors, and the Urban Farms team also sometimes uses our greenhouses or a protected outdoor box called a cold frame to begin growing our crops this month. When the time is right, introducing your seedlings to the outdoors gradually by putting them outside for maybe a few hours on a warm afternoon, and then gradually increasing their time spent outside each day will really help to kind of toughen them up. So that process of kind of gradually introducing them to the outdoors helps plant toughen up to like rain, wind, and cold before you transplant it into the ground. So after about a week or two of that process of kind of gradually introducing it outdoors for more and more time each day, which is called a hardening off, is the name of the process, your plant will be ready to go into the ground or into your garden beds. So while plants are the focus of any garden, the equipment and infrastructure around them is also important. This is the perfect time of year to do some sharpening for your garden tools and to make some repairs for your garden boxes. Earlier this week, I was actually out with our team at some of our Urban Farms locations, taking down some garden infrastructure that had damage from snow and winter winds and getting things ready for repair. Basic carpentry is a very important skill in these repairs and is a skill that we love to practice with all of our team during our field work. So to close out today's broadcast, I'm thrilled to be joined by Urban Farms Program Coordinator Wilfredo Illa, who will be giving us the basics on using one of the key pieces of equipment in our carpentry toolbox, a 5-minute workshop on using a power drill. Hello, Wilfredo. How are you?
How you doing, Mike? I'm good.
Quite excited. So I know we've got a good number of folks watching us, about a dozen at the moment, including Rowley, who's one of our urban farmers that has just been working with you a lot of our construction projects in the field over the past year or so. But yeah, really excited to some of the basics of tool use for gardening, but for around the home and for other projects they might want to do.
Yes, so we're gonna talk a little bit about how to use a power drill. I'm not gonna go in deep, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit of the difference and how you can use a power drill doing repairs in your garden if you have any structural damage, or that you can buy a power drill for your house. So this one right here is like a regular power drill. This one is battery power. This one is almost the same, but this one have a cord. So one of the things that you have to have in mind is that you have to have a electrical cord or outlet in any place that you're gonna work with this one. And this one is really, really powerful. So if you're gonna work on concrete or bricks or any structure, metal, any hard structure, this is better. But for us, a regular power drill is good. This one is an impact driver, and it's a little bit different. This one is also powered by battery. This one is just 12 volts, so this one is good like for home, any like hanging a picture frame or doing small jobs in the house. You can use it outside, but this one is 18 volts, so it's a little bit more powerful. The benefit of having a battery drill is that you can have multiple batteries, so you can use this one, and when this is empty, you can exchange it for a new battery. And the difference between this one And the regular drill is mostly the chuck. So with this chuck, I can use any drill bit like this one. I can put it here, I can close the chuck, and I can use it if I have to do a hole. And you open the chuck, right? You fit the drill bit and you close it. And the difference between the impact driver is that you need a special bits that have this shape, because this one you need to open it and then fit the bit in. That's kind of the main difference. And when you use a drill on any power tool, safety first. So put your gloves. Safety glasses. And then it's always good to have a pencil to mark when you're gonna put the screws. Then you have different screws. I don't have a flat head, but you have Phillips screws. And then I love these ones. I call them stars. I don't know the real name of them because they are more difficult to strip. So you can, if you want to start and do put this screw on the wood, you can do it directly. But I recommend you to do a pre-drill. I don't think that's the correct term, but make a hole first. So you have the drill bit, you close the chuck until you have it almost the size of the bit. You close it. Here you have forward and back. At this point, it's in the middle, so you cannot actually use it. So you put it forward, and now you can start drilling the hole. That's gonna give you a guide. It's easy for the screw. Then, like I said, you can use any of these pointers because this chuck allow you to use many adapters that you can use with the regular chuck that you cannot do it with the impact driver. And right here, I have it on forward. I'm gonna grab one of the screws. And then you wanna go slowly because the trigger is actually the velocity is actually the power that you're gonna have. So you don't wanna strip the screw. So you go slowly, 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 and then you wanna put pressure on the back of the drill. And same thing, if you have a screw and you wanna take out the screw, then you wanna hit reverse. You want to put it, you want to make sure that it's correctly, you want to put a little bit of pressure. Gonna take the screw out. There you have it. And always for safety, you're gonna take all the equipment out. You want to put this on the neutral or the stop position. And there you have it. That's a simple way that you can use a power drill to fix anything in your garden, or if you want to hang out a picture frame or anything. It's it's not in deep, but it's a simple way to use a power drill. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Alfredo. Yeah, I think that's really excellent. Where I know a lot of folks will think a hammer and a nail might work just fine, but for a lot of the projects we're doing in the garden, there's so much pressure against the fastener itself that, for instance, if you were to just use nails on a garden box, they might hold for a month or so, but the pressure of all that soil and water is really going to push out that fastener over time. So using screws, which have a thread will really kind of grip the lumber so much better than a nail would. And I think, yeah, the process of using a drill is a really nice skill and a kind of a fun one to be able to do. So yeah, thank you, Wilfredo. I think that's, like you said, really great information, not just for gardening, but for anyone doing any home improvement or a carpentry crafting project. So yeah, that's, I think, really wonderful to know. So as we wrap up today's broadcast, I hope you're as excited as I am for the growing season to be arriving. And I hope you're able to take advantage of the warmer weather over the coming weeks, whether you're cleaning up a garden, whether you're planting seeds indoors, or whether you're doing a bit of repair or construction in preparation for spring. For our SUS Urban Farms and Gardens, you may have seen the Urban Farms team on site recently, beginning this process for many of you. And also keep an eye out over the next week as I reach out to many of our sites about the launches of their seasons. For our larger farm sites, please feel free to ask your resident urban farmers for details about this year's planting plans and for information about getting involved as a garden volunteer. And also don't hesitate to reach out to me with questions, concerns, and advice as we move into the growing season. So thank you everyone for joining today. Please stay safe and I will see you again next month.